everybody, it's Abby. Welcome back to the channel. Welcome if you're new. Today I'm going to be updating my cruelty-free foundation comparisons. So I did an Instagram post and then a blog post about this. I'll link that down below, the blog post. And it was a while ago before I got some new ones, so I just wanted to kind of update it and include some other stuff. So I have 5 foundations and 4 concealers. Well, 5 concealers, I forgot one. So yeah, let's go ahead and get into it. So I'm just going to kind of give a mini review of each one and then swatch it on my arm. I'll probably post a picture at the end just so you can see, because it's kind of going to be difficult to see in this lighting because yeah, I'll wait until the lighting is better and then take a picture. But the first one that I have here is the NYX Total Control Dropped Foundation. So this is the newest one that I have, and I've only used it twice, and it uses so much product. To get my paper with thoughts, because I have like the newest ones, I didn't want to forget what I thought about them. This foundation is really thin. I need 3 to 4 drops on each third of my face. So I'll put my foundation on like this side, and then my forehead. And it doesn't crease necessarily. I usually get really bad creasing like around here and then like in between my brows some, but it doesn't really do that just because it's not a thick foundation, it's really thin. It slightly exaggerates my texture as far as like dry patches because it is so pigmented and thin that it doesn't cover over them, it just kind of sinks in. And then it also, if you ever had a foundation that's really full coverage or like really pigmented, you can kind of, when you look really close in the mirror, you can see like holes. You know what I mean? Like it kind of sinks down into my pores in some spots. But I guess I didn't use enough of my pore filling primer. And it only separates kind of a little bit after maybe 5 to 6 hours, but it's not that noticeable. But because it is so thin, it is easy to put other products on top of it, like cream bronzers, cream concealers, and that kind of stuff. It doesn't really take it away if you blend over it. And my favorite thing about this is the packaging. So before I had the Cover FX custom cover drops, and those are in like the dropper style, but they were so horribly messy. But this foundation, this is foundations, but this bottle has, when you pull the dropper out, I can't show you because it'll dump it out, but if you look down inside of it, there's a little plastic piece that kind of hangs down under the rim that kind of pulls the extra foundation off of the sides of the dropper so that it doesn't get everywhere. Like the Cover FX drops need to have that. Like I would probably repurchase them if they had that, but I'm not going to because they get everywhere. But anyways, and this is probably the closest shade match. Well, this one and the Wet n Wild one that I'm talking about are probably the closest shade matches that I have. And then the Wet n Wild Photo Focus foundation. Oh, I forgot to tell you. I'm also in the NYX one. I am in the shade Porcelain. This is shade 03. I believe this is the lightest one. This is the lightest one that my Ulta had. So, and then the Wet n Wild Photo Focus foundation. I'm sure you've heard 1.5 million people talking about this. But this is really on par with my more expensive foundations. It lasts really well with the silicone primer. It's really easy to blend in. It doesn't really get streaky like a lot of foundations can do. And then I've worn this for over 12 hours, and it doesn't really like separate or crease or anything. It just kind of like my oil just kind of shows through and I look a little more dewy than when I started. But other than that, it lasts forever. And the packaging on this is, it's kind of weird to me, but I could see why they did it this way. It is this little paddle thing that you just kind of wipe on your hand or your face or whatever, how you want to do that. But this foundation is really thin compared to other ones. So like if I put it on my hand, and I can't tilt my hand because it'll just run. Alright, then on the foundations that I've had for a little while, the Too Faced Born This Way foundation. So the Too Faced is owned by a parent company, so if I'm not cool with that, and then, you know. But I'm wearing that today. This is not my favorite foundation. Like it's probably not even in the top ones that I've tried. I'm in the shade, I keep forgetting to tell you, in the Wet n Wild one, I'm in the shade Shell Ivory. It's the second to lightest one. The lighter one I think was like a yellow undertone, and this one's more pink neutral. But anyways, back to the Too Faced one. So I'm in the shade Snow in this before I forget to tell you again. But this one, I'd say like the consistency of it's pretty normal. Like it's liquidy, but it's not too runny, and it's not really like moussey thick. And this is supposed to be like medium to full coverage. Yeah, that's what it says. Medium to full coverage foundation around the front, duh. But on me, it's more of a medium-ish. Like I can kind of still see spots through it, and it doesn't last very long. It lasts maybe 6 hours before it looks bad. So I know like the NYX one, like 5 or 6 hours, it's kind of starting to separate, but you can't really tell. But this one, it doesn't look good. But it doesn't really crease that bad though, because it's not as heavy. And this one, I don't know, like in here it looks fine, but if I go outside, or like in a sunny day, it's not sunny outside today, but it will probably look a little bit too dark because the Snow has a warm or yellow undertone, whereas I would probably need like a pinkish, but the next shade is too dark. So next one that I have is the Kat Von D Lock-It Foundation. This has been around forever. I tried it a long time ago, and like the lightest shade was too light, but then the next shade was too dark. But then they expanded the shade range, and I got the next lightest shade, which is light 44 Cool. So like the lightest one is 42, I think. They might have one lighter than that, I don't remember. But this one is an okay match. It's not perfect. It's just a tad dark-ish. And it is really pink, like, because it says cool, but I wish they had a neutral, because sometimes I think I'm pink, but then most of the time I feel like I'm neutral, like, because when I use like a light, like a cool or a warm foundation, they look weird, but then if I find a neutral one, then it looks fine. So, but this one is extremely full coverage. It's kind of finicky on me. I haven't tried this recently because my skin is like, it turns incredibly dry in the winter, but in the summer it's really oily. So I haven't tried this when I've had dry skin, just because I don't think that it's going to work at all. But when my skin is oily, I have to use this without any primer. So like, not even a water-based, not even a silicone-based, it doesn't work. And I also have to use this, like, blot my face and then put this on, and it's like cement. I have to use a brush with it. I can't use a beauty blender or anything because it's too wet and it just makes it look cakey. Which everybody else like has the opposite thing, like they have to use a sponge with it because it's too heavy if they don't. So I don't know. And the thing about this one and the Wet n Wild one, they smell. The Wet n Wild one's a little more strong, but as soon as you like start applying it, it goes away. This one, same thing with this one. So if you need a really, really full coverage foundation, I would go with the Kat Von D one. Also, I forgot to mention the Wet n Wild one is really buildable too. So like, you put it on a layer and it's like, kind of, but then you put another layer on and it starts looking better. So, and the Too Faced Born This Way one, though, it does not layer well. And the next one I don't have the actual packaging. It was the Tarte Amazonian Clay Foundation. If you see my channel, I don't support Tarte anymore, but I just wanted to throw this in case you've used this foundation before and you just want a comparison to these other ones if you're thinking about buying a new one. So the one that I have was in the shade Fairly Light Beige. That shade is really hard to find. It is like one of the lightest ones, and like it's not even listed on some of their, like some of the places that sell it. But I got mine at Ulta, pretty sure. So this foundation is really thick and moussey, kind of like the Kat Von D one is too. But this one seems a little bit more natural. I almost gave up on this foundation a while ago because I just couldn't make it work. But then I tried it again and I used a silicone primer underneath of it and it looked amazing. So I think with a lot of foundations, you first apply it, it doesn't look so great, but then once your skin starts like producing oil and it kind of mixes with it, it looks a lot better. So that's definitely the case with the Tarte foundation. And that color is, or the shade on this one, it's a little pink for me, so like I wish it was neutral again, but I think it worked fine. Now on to concealers. So first I have the Urban Decay Naked Skin I keep saying foundation, Naked Skin Concealer, and the shade Fair Warm. So I've had this one before in the same shade, and I really like it. It's really lightweight, and it's not too cakey. It's easy to blend out. I'll show you the wand. The wand is kind of like flat on both sides. And yeah, I mean, I think this is a decent concealer. I appreciate that they have light shades in it, and I don't know. I used to use the Naked Skin foundation like a while back. I haven't had it in a long time, but I was in the shade 0.5, so that's like if you're that shade, then you'd probably use Fair Warm or Fair Cool, or whatever the next one is. But this is not the greatest, I don't think, for like blemishes around the face. It's usually mostly for like under the eyes. The next one I have two different shades. The Kat Von D Lock-It Concealer Cream. There's what those look like. I have the shade L1 Neutral and the shade L5 Neutral. So L5 is what I would use on like around my face if I have a pimple or something, or like acne spots that my foundation doesn't cover up. And then L1 is really, really light on me, so I have to mix the two underneath my eyes. And I don't know why, like lapse in judgment, I guess, but they have an L3, which is in between these. I don't know why I didn't just get that, so I don't have to mix, but oh well. So let me show you the applicator on these. So it is just kind of like a triangle pointed applicator. And these are really full coverage. They blend really well. They can crease, but you just have to be really careful not to use too much, which I can do sometimes because I have to mix two and then I just kind of forget and like put too much on. So yeah, I mean, I wouldn't really, I think it depends on personal preference. If concealers can tend to crease on you, this one probably will, but they don't really that bad on me most of the time. I just have like one little line underneath my eyelid that kind of can get makeup creasing on it, but if I just go back after it starts creasing and blend it out, then it's fine for the rest of the day. The next one is newer to my collection. It is the Ulta, get the name right, Ulta Full Coverage Liquid Concealer, and it says waterproof. So this one, the color match is really, it's a little dark on me. I can kind of get away with it under my eyes, but if I was going to use it all over my face, it'd probably look weird. It is really thick and moussey, and the applicator is kind of similar to the Urban Decay one. It's like flat on both sides, but it's a little bit smaller, just because I guess because it's a smaller tube. I don't know. But I tried to test this on my tattoo, like I put it on my arm and then layered powder over top of it, but it looked so orange by the end. I was like, that's not gonna work. So yeah, I wouldn't be covering tattoos with this, but it works really well for under eyes, and I just wish they had a lighter shade because that would work so much better, but this is the lightest one. It is light cool. But they do have a nice range, like going deeper. It's just not so much on the lighter end, which that's fine with me. Like, I'm so happy that foundation, or like brands that make foundations and concealers are finally coming out with light shades now. It's like, okay, time to go into, you know, the darker shades because they have the same problem. And then last concealer that I have is this Wet n Wild Mega Glow Makeup Stick Conceal in the shade Follow Your Bisque. So this is obviously a stick foundation. It is really thick. If I use it underneath my eyes, I have to blend it out with my finger because it is just so thick. It doesn't really do much with a brush. I need to try it with a beauty sponge though. I just haven't been using sponges in a while. But I think the color is pretty spot on, so I'm surprised at that because they only have like 3 or 4, maybe 5 shades of this. Like, it is really thick under the eyes, so it's going to be careful not to use too much. I was almost finished editing this video and I realized I literally just got, like, yesterday a couple of new concealers and I haven't had a chance to try them out. I actually tried one today under my eyes. I don't know how I feel about it yet, so I don't want to tell you that. I just want to include these in here for like color shade comparison. So I have the Wet n Wild Illuminati Highlighting and Concealing Pen, and mine is in the shade Ivory Into You. And so this is just like a click pen type of concealer thing. And then I have the Wet n Wild Photo Focus Concealer in the shade Light Ivory. So I'm excited to test these out. I love finding affordable concealers and foundations and things, and Wet n Wild is like killing the game right now. And this this stick one, the Illuminati Highlighting Concealing Pen, I used it today, and the match is pretty good. Like, it's not, I don't think it's too dark, but it's like borderline too dark. So I'm just really surprised again that a drugstore brand has a shade to match me, because they're usually like too dark. So I will add these into the swatches. So that was it for the 5 foundations and 5 concealers that I have. I thought I'd have more foundations, but I never counted. So I hope this was helpful. Let me know if you are also vegan and or cruelty free and you have foundation suggestions. Let me know. I'm always looking for new ones. I'm probably going to be using this Wet n Wild one for quite a while, because it is probably the best that I have. And yeah, this video, thumbs up if you thought it was helpful. And please subscribe so you don't miss any future videos, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.